Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. Kiddos are playing. Hubby is doing some repairing around the house. And so we got some time to ourselves to bust out some videos here in the exiled corner. And that to me is a perfect duo. Let us begin. We were now in this section of On the Adder's Bite. Okay? One day, Zarathustra had fallen asleep under a fig tree, for it was hot, and had put his arms over his face. And an adder came and bit him in the neck, so that Zarathustra cried out in pain. When he had taken his arm from his face, he looked at the snake, and it recognized the eyes of Zarathustra, writhed awkwardly, and wanted to get away. "Oh no," said Zarathustra, "as yet you have not accepted my thanks. You waked me in time. My way is still long. Your way is short." The adder said sadly, "My poison kills." Said it sadly, huh? Why would a snake say that sadly? That's interesting. Because usually we think of snakes as really eager to bite, maybe liking the fact that they have that skill. It's weird to think of a snake not liking that. What do you think? Zarathustra smiled. When has a dragon ever died of the poison of a snake? He said, "But take back your poison. You are not rich enough to give it to me." Ooh. Then the adder fell around his neck a second time and licked his wound. They say when you get bit, you're supposed to suck out the venom, but this says licked. So it's funny because a snake can't take back the venom just by licking. But it's a funny way to look at it. If a snake could take back its venomous bite, would it? When Zarathustra once related this to his disciples, they asked, "Oh, what, O Zarathustra, is the moral of your story?" Then Zarathustra answered thus, "The annihilator of morals, the good and just, call my story is immoral. But if you have an enemy, do not requite him evil with good, for that would put him to shame. Rather prove that he did you some good." No, hold on, let's read that again. That's interesting here. If you have an enemy, don't do evil back to him with good, but you should put him to shame and prove that he did you some good. Aha, so this seems a bit of a jab at the Christians for the turn the other cheek. So also maybe some Buddhistic elements that he's mocking as well. To not get vengeance, or to not return his evil with good. Because it is very weird that the whole kill him with kindness crap. You know, I always hated that. It's like, no, justice should be merited with justice. But you can be merciful, right? And forego vengeance occasionally, depending on the infraction. Like someone stole from you. Maybe, you know, instead of turning them into the police, you just cut off the friendship. See what I'm saying? But if someone tries to hit you with their car, it's quite different, ain't it? But he's arguing here, tell your enemy that their attack on you did some good. Deprive them of what it is they wanted, which was to destroy you and cause you no good. But then a weirdo might say, "So, you know, I made you who you were because of how much I abused you." It's like, whatever. So there's so many ways you can look at that. And rather be angry than put to shame. And if you are cursed, I do not like it that you want to bless. Rather join a little in the cursing. No. What? And if you have been done a great wrong, then quickly had 5 little ones. What? A gruesome sight is a person single-mindedly obsessed by a wrong. Did you already know this? A wrong shared is half right. What? What the heck? I've never heard that. What is that? No, and he who is able to bear it should take the wrong upon himself. Huh. I've never heard that before. This is what I mean about Nietzsche, is that you'll hear things and you're like, never heard that phrase. A little revenge is more human than no revenge. That is true. And revenge can be very sweet tasting. But it also, okay, so if you go too far and transgress, then it becomes bitter in your own mouth and can boomerang upon you. But, man, when you see Cersei Lannister get her revenge, even though she herself is a bit of a monster, there's something about it where you're like, this is beautiful. Like, you can feel it. It's like euphoric. You know, I think everybody, if they had a true enemy, sometimes there's this noble idea of, you know, you let them defeat themselves, or you let someone else carry out the punishment instead of yourself. But if you know someone who is truly wicked, getting a taste of their own medicine, it can be like sugar in our mouths. And man, it is quite human to ask for revenge. Because revenge is almost like a closure to an injustice, isn't it? And if punishment is not also a right and an honor for the transgressor, then I do not like your punishments either. It is nobler to declare oneself wrong than to insist on being right. I've admitted when I've been wrong before, but I won't back down when I feel like, no, this is my conviction, I'm sticking to it because I see my perspective as more right. Even if there's a gray area in between. Yet you can't be a floating piece of wood in the river. You have to sometimes be the rock in the river. But you gotta be flexible but not break. You know? It's a fascinating way to look at it. Especially when one is right. Only one must be rich enough for that. So rich, you can think rich in knowledge or rich in wealth. Like, what is he getting at here? What is he getting at here? Who has the gold makes the morals, you know, who knows? I do not like your cold justice. And out of the eyes of your judges, there always looks the executioner. Ooh. Out of the eyes of your judges, there always looks the executioner and his cold steel. It's true in a way. I could see that. I would love to interview some judges, you know, because some judges, when they're given their verdict, they get that, bah, you know, it's like their little gavel or whatever, and they're just like, you're getting the death penalty. Like, you're getting life in prison. The good judge has got that executioner look in his eyes. You know? When he's dealing with evil, that is. Because they are condemning you to death, right? There is that cold steel look, like you have to carry out the law. You know, when it's a guilty person. Something about the cold steel of the gaze when it comes to dispensing out verdicts does something. Obviously, if you're innocent, that's going to cause some problems. But we're talking about being guilty here because you don't want to be like, oh, I sentenced you to death for some evil monster. How would you look at a judge then? If they're like, have a little soft, warm, fuzzy gaze towards some ghastly person who's done terrible crimes. It's more stoic, the cold steel expression. That's why you see a female judge. Judge Judy was like a classic one, you know. Now I don't know how she is anymore, but back in the day, there was episodes we used to watch as kids. You know, she has that little bit of, I don't know how to explain it. She's got that, to her. Tell me, where is that justice? which is love with open eyes. Well, with your mom, with a wise older man who sees you made a mistake, you're repentant, you didn't commit a grievous crime, I believe it's there. Especially when you're dealing with youth crimes, like when a young person, a juvenile, has done something completely stupid. There's redemption and atonement still looming over them, so you can have that kind of love for their eyes. But if you're dealing with a young killer, there was some teenage girls who did a carjacking of a taxi driver, and he ended up trying to escape from them, crashed into a wall and died. Do they deserve mercy? They were doing a carjacking, 16 years old. And they caused this man to die, and he left his family behind. Should you have these soft eyes with some killers like that? And I would say no. You know, that's when open eyes, eye for an eye. You caused that guy to die because you wanted to be thuggish, suffer the consequences. Now, if two people are fighting and a bystander shoots one of them because they're friends with the other one, I think that's a little different, because that person can be like, I didn't mean to shoot them to kill, I meant to diffuse the situation, scare them off. I don't know, you have to weigh the intentions and the person themselves, you know. Are they repentant? Was there malice behind it? Was there plotting? Quite different. Would that you might invent for me the love that bears not only all punishment, but also all guilt. Would that you might invent for me the justice that acquits everyone except him that judges. Excuse me. So, this is a funny one here. Would that you might invent for me the justice that acquits everyone except him that judges. So, letting everyone off except the judger. That sounds kind of petulant. Like, oh, the one who's judging should be the one who's judged, and everyone else, you know, they should be acquitted. It's like, no, I don't think so. Some judges can be on their high horse, no doubt, but they gotta kind of be from their point a bit higher to observe the landscape of ideas. Do you still want to hear this too? In him who would be just through and through, even lies become kindness to others. So even if you want to have justice through and through, some lies will be considered a kindness. Sure. I mean, you could argue white lies, maybe. Someone doesn't look good in their outfit, you tell them they do. You could even... the tough one would be for medical stuff. You got 3 months to live versus telling them there's hope. Telling them straight, being a straight shooter to them, which could erode a placebo effect. Depends. But how could I think of being just through and through? How can I give each his own? That's hard. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be the most just, the most swift in accounting. Let this be sufficient for me. I give each my own. Finally, my brothers, beware of doing wrong to any hermit. Oh snap, hermit squad. That's what I'm talking about. How could a hermit forget? Yes, that's true. If you're kind of like a hermit like myself, you know, you remember certain things, especially wrongs, for a long time and they replay. Because you cut out a lot of other sensory distractions. And if you're not careful, you know, the wrong hermit will be like, hey. Some people, like, they're more busybodies, so their memories are like passing by. But someone who's more slow, focused, less external distractions, has more time for internal reflection. How could he repay like a deep well is a hermit. Yes, that's so true. It is easy to throw in a stone, but if the stone sank to the bottom, tell me who would get it out again. Beware of insulting the hermit, but if you have done so, well, then kill him too. No! How dare you, Nietzsche? Thus spoke Zarathustra. No, just apologize. Just give some flowers or a bag of coffee. Give me a parrot. I'll forgive you. Dang, Nietzsche, I was defending you. Now you're saying kill the hermits because they won't forget the wrongs. No. This is interesting. But if you have an enemy, do not requite him evil with good, for that would put him to shame. Rather prove that he did you some good. So shame versus goodness. Shame has a very powerful role to play. Because I get some, I guess I get. Well, if your enemy did this, and then you do something for them, they feel so much shame for what they did to you that they might not do it again. If you're able to conjure up that emotional discipline, sure, but man, sometimes showing your enemy they did something. I've fought some girls in the past where it's like, yeah, I put you in your place, but you hit hard, and you hitting hard and not pulling hair was awesome because it taught me how to fight even better, right? That's what I'd argue. When you have formidable enemies, you can compliment them in a way by saying that, they're rugged, ruthless, wrathful, testing of you really did you some good. And then that way you can get some closure as well in a way, can't you? Now this other line was also interesting. Did you already know this? A wrong shared is half right. That's just like absurd. It's just that one is funny because it's like you mess with it in your head. Let me know what you think. If you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. I hope to see you there, and it supports the channel. So if you like the videos, go ahead and send some tips my way. I can buy some diapers. Alright, take care. Think about Nietzsche. Yeah.